you want to ask your question again, Rachel?
Sure. How did everyone's breakout rooms go?
Yeah. So it was a little bit difficult at first, just not knowing what to say, what to do, even though the whole point of this group is, it's about not being like, there is nothing right to say. There is no answers right now, but probably as a therapist and just as a human, like we want to fix things. And so there were a couple people in the group who were talking about just a sense of hopelessness and like, we've done the marching, we've done the volunteering, we've donated money, and like, we're still here. And there was another woman who had mentioned like, Georgia voted blue. Like we just recently, voted this way, where we are a swing state now. And so one person does, especially when it's that close, like one person does make a huge difference. So just don't forget that. And it was really great to hear that.
Yeah, I found that in our group, I actually went through and wrote down some of the key words that I heard most of the folks sharing, and they were along the same lines. So enraged, sick, pain, terrified, out of control, scared, fear, force, angry, unreal, surreal, shock and rage and disgust, and unjust were. And then my favorite was visceral rage. That was my personal favorite that was shared from that side. But what I also noticed was, and as the process does happen, I also noticed words like collective and plan, camaraderie, empowerment, love, support, action, hope, unity. So I also noticed those in here. And so I try to hold space for that to be a reality, is that like, y'all are right now, this is new. And yet, even with the hopelessness and the helplessness, there still is that silver lining that folks are sharing. And that's, how beautiful is that we can say that even in our darkest hour, we have these beautiful moments of just compassion and just love for one another in a way that is needed more in the world, but is still present, even in really hard situations like what we're in right now. So that was really cool to see. That was really, really cool to see.
I posed your question, Stephanie, about who our sources of support are and where and who we feel comfortable looking to right now. And I was so pleasantly surprised in what I heard. I heard a lot of individuals, one individual who worked in a space that I wouldn't normally think would be as supportive of basically as they were. A lot of individuals, a lot of women were given time to take a break when the news broke. A lot of women heard it from coworkers or from individuals that were coming into their business. And when they were told, managers and supervisors gave them time to sort of step away if it was needed. And I thought that was how rare, at least in my experience, to have such a compassionate workspace, not only among your coworkers and the camaraderie there, but from the higher ups that might not entirely understand what you're feeling. So that was really, really awesome to hear that the sense of community was there. I had an individual in my group as well. I had a few individuals that were not from our generation, so a little older. So they had a more broadened perspective to add and brought in what we discussed when we all came back together, that this is sort of cyclical, this political trend. It's not the first time we've been called to march. It's not been the first time we've been called to vote. And it won't be the last, but we now know what could potentially make the difference. We're not at that point that we're calling into action. It's still so fresh and so new, but the solidarity is there.
These are flashbulb memories right now, and that's, I think, for those who were of the older generations who were able to look back and go, well, I remember when X, Y, and Z happened. We can learn a lot from them, right? And how to kind of move forward and process in a caring, compassionate, and active way on how to deal with stuff like this. And at the same time, I also try and hold space and realize that even though for some they have, quote unquote, been through political ups and downs, a lot of us haven't. A lot of us, this is taking people's breaths away. Like there are folks who have never been through anything like this, or maybe we're too young to remember some of the other stuff that's happened, in the last 2-3 years. Yeah, I would say most of us have experienced that, but prior, we haven't. A lot of us are still getting our footing on how to deal with hardcore political and social turmoil in a very, very different way.
And if you think, like, again, everything happens in cycles, right? We need the wisdom and the strength of our elders, but we need the energy of our young people right now.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a kind of a core theme in my breakout group too, was the nature of how the way that we communicate, this generation communicates, compared to in previous periods of civil unrest. Just the comparison of the tools, what we have now versus what we have then, but also kind of the danger that comes with the tools we have now. Like you described, we're so tracked. Desi and I had a conversation earlier this week about, your period tracking apps and just protecting your data and making sure that you're knowledgeable, but making sure where you're getting your knowledge from is accurate, is impartial, and sending the correct message. That's such a big part of it when we're just inundated all day with news.
One of the things that I think, because I ask a lot of my clients to track their periods. I think hormonal differences and fluctuations throughout the month have such an impact on our mental health. And so it's something that we work on a lot. And so there are plenty of really, really good paper tracking systems, but, and I can link those in the notes below this video, but also if you just love your app and that's how you want to continue doing it, you can, if you miss your period and you know that that's something that's on an abortion's on the horizon for you, then just enter your period in, like just enter it in like a normal period. And yeah, which does take some extra work during a time of crisis. So I wouldn't say that that's a foolproof method. You might forget, but it's just one idea. If tracking is important to you and your health, but also I think the safest way is paper, of course, but it's just an idea.
That's an excellent idea.
And I know lots of people put stuff in the chat for resources, so I'll write those as well in the notes below. Anything else that comes up for you guys? Just how this process was for you personally, or what thought? Yeah, anything?
Personally, I don't think I've been and you guys probably, obviously you guys are more seasoned clinicians, but I've never been in a space where I felt so passionately about the subject I was presenting to the point to where I needed to rein myself in and be like, okay, you're asking the questions, you're facilitating, you share like a human at the end, but right now it's focused on the participants that are participating. So I had to check myself. I had to sit on my hands and I had to just remind myself of the rules because it's something that affects all of us. And I had some individuals in my group that they feel their rights are on the horizon, threatened as well. It's not just women right now. It's potentially going to be more marginalized individuals.
I noticed that there was a lot of sorrow too from some of my folks in our breakout group who were older, and there was this sense of just sadness that their kids, their younger generation, don't see their country, as this safe and amazing place. They see it as this marginalized, unfair, scary, dangerous place now. Whereas like one of the folks in there was talking about the 4th of July coming up, and they were like, how can I celebrate this holiday? How can I celebrate my country when I don't even feel safe in my own place? And that is such a sad reality. And it's very, very heartbreaking that is such a parameter that so many people are existing in and have for many years. But now I think it's just becoming more prevalent, this concept that, oh, hey, this country that I grew up in that is amazing and is the quote unquote greatest on earth is not actually. And that's very, very sad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for facilitating this and being here also with me. It means a lot to me.
Thank you guys. It wouldn't be possible without the two of you. Thank you for enabling this to be what I had hoped it would be. Thank you.
Thank y'all. This has been a fantastic experience. It's nice to hold space for others, and it was also nice to have a space where I think we all had very, very, very similar realities, very similar understandings of how the world's functioning right now.
I agree. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.